Okay, it's power rankings time. We've done similar-ish conversations. Who's in the Super Bowl mix? I kind of took stock of the league while we were in Ireland, but here we are. One game past the midway point, Shook. And I think it's time to just kind of break it down, who we think are the best teams in the entire NFL. You made it a list, I made a list, and we combined them. And now we're going to talk about it. And we broke it into 4 different sections, and we'll go bottom up. Let's start with the They Gone section. Self-explanatory. They gone. Dead last, Tennessee Titans. We both had that, by the way. I should have showed you my list so you know where we agreed, where we didn't. The New Orleans Saints, second to last, 31. We both agreed on that completely as well. Number 30, the Jets. 29, Raiders did not help themselves tonight. Sad to see the Washington Commanders, who Shook absolutely buried, down at 28. We got the Dolphins at 27. Shook's Browns, who he had a little more faith in than me, up at 26. And then the Giants at 25. And I broke them into sections, but this naturally to me are like the teams that if you see them on the schedule, Shook, you're counting on a W. Why did you have Washington that low?
Well, because they're just so banged up. Like, I'm not talking about them being healthy and not the way we looked at them going into the season. We're talking about Jaden Daniels dealing with his 3rd injury, and they have so many losses on both sides of the ball. This is where we are at week 10, and I don't expect the Washington Commanders to contend in most games that are ahead of them, even if they have Jaden Daniels available, just because that's how banged up they are. They have lost so much, and we saw exactly what they are on Sunday night against the Seahawks. So, yeah.
But you got him below the Dylan Gabriel Browns.
Yes,
you got him below this Giants
the Browns,
team who can't stop anyone on the ground.
I can't believe I have to defend the Browns. This is not me defending the Browns, but the Browns defense will at least keep them in a game. Washington could just get rolled by anybody because of all the losses they have personnel-wise.
That's absolutely right. Although it's a big week for not only draft positioning, Shook, between the Jets and the Browns, but for the power rankings. Because if they can't beat the Jets, who are below them here, then you're in trouble. And it shows that your ranking was.
I like how you're revealing mine just without revealing yourself at all.
I'm trying to find mine.
I am the scapegoat.
You are the scapegoat. Giants 25, Browns 26, Dolphins. It's crazy to think that the Commanders are behind those teams, but you're absolutely right. Like, who would I take on a neutral field right now? Dolphins, Commanders. I probably would take the Dolphins. Which of these teams would you least want to play on a Sunday? Of these
it's undoubtedly the New York Giants. Like, it's not even close. Because Jackson Dart brings an element of aggression to this offense. He's a playmaker. Like, I know that they lost Cam Scatterbo and they've lost Malik Neighbors, and he is an absolute warrior for them. Like, watching them is still fun because of him. Like, he is trying to carry this offense on their back. And I think their defense has enough talent to cause problems for a lesser team. So, like, if the Browns are playing the Giants, I'm taking the Giants because I don't think the Browns can protect against that defense. And I think Jackson Dart eventually will find a way to score enough points to beat them.
In Raiders fans out there, I had you 30th going into this game and just ahead of the Saints and Titans. 29th when you averaged me and Shook out. It's you're looking at 32 pretty soon. It's a tough situation. All right, let's go to the next segment. The next group is called Stuck in the Middle. So these teams have a chance to make the playoffs, certainly. Number 24, the Cincinnati Bengals. They're right on the edge of that. The Cowboys at 23. Falcons at 22. Disappointing season. The Carolina Panthers, little disrespected here, at 21. Texans at 20. Cardinals at 19. Some love for the Cardinals, considering their record. 18 for the Chicago Bears and 17 of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Bears are 5-3, Shook. Explain to me kind of your thought process of why they are here. And we did not disagree much there. You had them 19th. I had them 17th.
Yeah, we were super close here. I think that the Bears could easily climb out of this tier because I love the development of their offense under Ben Johnson's direction. Like, they are getting creative and running all kinds of wacky stuff that you don't expect, but they're also executing it. Now, Caleb is still a bit unsteady. He doesn't, like, his highlight plays are really fun to watch, but he's getting more comfortable. He's getting better, but he's still not at that point where you're like, he's going to lead them to victory. Now, he's done it a couple times in clutch spots, but I have questions about their defense because they can't generate a pass rush to save their lives. So that's why they're kind of stuck in this tier. But I think if their offense continues on the trajectory they're currently on, they could climb out of it and get into the bottom of the next tier.
Yeah, I think part of their issue is just the quality of their opponents. And you could say the same thing about the Patriots, but the Patriots quarterback's playing better and they're 7-2. So there is a little bit of a difference there. I just want to see more out of this Bears team because I think the defense is struggling. The passing game is up and down. Like it looks better in the box score than the numbers, but they are trending up. And it is crazy to think like, man, the league feels deep if the Jaguars are 17th,
yeah,
and the Panthers are 21st. And I think the Panthers are just an eye test thing. Ultimately, like, yeah, it is the year of the running game and everything, but if you can't consistently throw the ball and your defense is not a difference maker, and I don't consider the Panthers defense to be a difference maker, I think that's where they get edged out a little bit compared to teams like the Cardinals and the Texans, for instance, who to me have a higher upside despite their record right now. What was your thought process of kind of where they are versus, say, the Cardinals and the Texans specifically?
Yeah, maybe I'm one of the last believers in the Texans, but their defense is very, very good. And it, like, we talked about with the Browns, it's going to keep them in most games. And if they could protect CJ Stroud, who got knocked out by a concussion last week, then I think that they would be a competitive team against most teams, which is why they're ranked higher. And it's not to say that the Panthers aren't, they just upset the Packers, but we see the ceiling on their offense, especially if their running game's not working. I think that the Panthers are on the right path, and a year from now, they'll be in a better place. You see, signs of it on both sides of the ball. It's just that, like, this is the build up to that. So that's kind of why they are where they are. But I also, we talk about the Jags being in this group, at the top of this group. Mm-hmm. Bit of recency, not bias, but recency influence with us, because I could very easily see us putting the Vikings in that spot instead of the Jaguars had the Vikings not just gone to Detroit and beaten the Lions.
Well, they just beat the Lions. You got to adapt to new information.
Right.
And I think roster-wise, they're better. And maybe it is confirming my priors. I thought they would get over 8.5 wins this year, and they still have a chance to do so. There's a lot of talent, the coaches, but yeah, you're hinting at who's up next, so let's just do it. The next tier is Frisky, and the Vikings are at the bottom of that tier, but these are the teams that you don't want to play them. I think it'd be a disappointment if they don't make the playoffs, but we're also just valuing where they are right now. Number 16, the Vikings. Big jump, I think, from where they would have been, like you said, Shook, last week at this time. The Chargers are at 15, a little lower than I expected they'd be in this exercise. The 49ers, 14. Ravens all the way up to 13, despite the 3-5 record, but they are the Ravens. The Steelers at 12, Broncos at 11, and Patriots at 10. Now, I got to say, we did this assuming the Broncos are going to win this game, like roughly where they would be. I mean, I think just for making us go through this, Shook, maybe we should knock them down a couple spots.
Yes. We assumed they were going to win. We didn't assume they were going to win in the ugliest fashion possible. Yeah. And this is a fun kind of examination of where we differ too, because I had the Ravens all the way up at 11. Because I just believe that if Lamar can be Lamar, that they're going to be right on the edge of that top 10. But yeah, the Broncos deserve. Let's drop them a couple spots, and I'm going to bump the Ravens up. Why not?
Okay,
and we should also defend the. So
you already had them ahead of them. You had the Ravens at 11. I had them at 15. And I guess what I would say to that, I did have them behind the 49ers and the Chargers, and maybe I shouldn't. I'm talking about opponent. I'm talking about like consistency. Okay, the Ravens didn't look amazing beating the Dolphins. I know it ended up being easy, but it wasn't like a game where you look at the numbers and everything that they were particularly dominant. And they beat the Bears. That was a good effort with Tyler Huntley. I guess I just want to see them in a game like they are this week against a better opponent before I'm feeling like they're back. So I punished them a little bit for that.
That's fair. We should defend where we are putting the Chargers, though, because I think this is accurate. And the reason is the losses in the offensive line. We know we are bracing for offense being a challenge for them from here on out after losing Joe Alt for the rest of the season. So
the defense hasn't been that good, right? Like no. I thought the defense would be better, and it's been up and down, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that.
49ers, though, ahead of the now that I'm looking at it, like in my heart, 49ers, considering their injuries. Actually, I did have them below the Chargers, and I think you should have too. but you didn't, And that's
I didn't. I had the 49ers ahead of the Chargers because I admire their scrappiness and their ability to extract wins out of thin air despite all the losses that they've had in personnel. Like that, I am still mystified by how they are still competitive every week given all the guys they don't have.
I had the Patriots at 11. You had them at 10. Do you think it's fair that they are not in our highest tier, essentially? That we're kind of saying with this tier, to me, you're not one of the real deal ones yet. And it's crazy to think that about the Ravens. I guess I want just a little more proof. But what do you think about not putting the Patriots or the Broncos or even the Steelers in like real deal Super Bowl contender status?
I think that the Patriots are going to remind me of teams that played soft schedules and got, to the playoffs on the back of a soft schedule, not to take away anything that they've done, because Drake May is the engine that drives that team forward and he's playing fantastic football. But I do think that if they end up facing higher level competition, they could get exposed, on a given Sunday or whatever. So that's why they sit at 10 for me. The Steelers, I sound like a hater. They're just very up and down. Like the way that they dominated the Colts statistically with turnovers and everything else was shocking. But yet they only won that game by a touchdown. And so that kind of points to a sign to me that, like, I think Aaron Rodgers is playing very good football for them right now. He's got complete command of that offense when he's empowered to run that offense. But I think that there is not fraudulence in them, but just a visible ceiling with them, which is why I have them where they are.
And it's funny, if we had done this segment before Thursday Night Football, Broncos fans would have been annoyed, I think, at how low they are. And now, after Thursday Night Football, even though they got a win, I feel like the Bo Nix Nation, the Bo Leavers, will just like be a little quieter.
I got to give them a lot of credit. A big shout out for me, because I get a lot of hate for the QB index every week. It's part, it comes with the game. Bo Nix fans have not gotten in my DMs or my mentions once. And in fact, I've had a little bit of back and forth with Broncos fans, like when I'm streaming on Twitch or whatever. They're in agreement. Like they're realists with him and they understand where he is right now. So shout out to you guys for not letting your emotions cloud your judgment.
Shout out to the Broncos fans for the most incredible Bronx cheer on Thursday night when their punter finally had a good punt, because he kept punting it off the side of his foot. They were booing the hell out of Bo Nix and the Broncos offense. They did it going into halftime. They did it coming out of halftime when they went 3-and-out of halftime. And then he hit this punt, which was his first decent punt of the night. And they gave him a loud-ass Bronx cheer for a punt. That was amazing. Just
this is coming off of the back of him launching absolute rockets a week earlier. Like, to the point where I tweeted, I was like, he has a mortar cannon, like a mortar launcher on his leg. Like, that's what his leg is. And then he goes out there tonight and just sends like ground balls out there. Punting's hard, man. Football's hard.
It is crazy that punting was like the most entertaining thing in the game. AJ Cole of the Raiders had 2 punts go inside the 2-yard line. That's the first time that's happened in the same game in like 5 years. Not surprising there. And then he also had a block punt that basically won the Broncos the game, set them up on a short field goal, and that's how they got their short field, and that's how they got their winning field goal. Let's do the title contender. I'm calling this the real ones, and it really shows what a crazy year this is. Because I think you could shake up these 9 teams in any direction, and I'm not going to argue too much with it. Number 9, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 8 is Green Bay, lower than I expected. And it is interesting when you force yourself to do this exercise and you realize, like, wow, the Packers down there, although I had them higher than you. Number 7, the Detroit Lions. Number 6, we have the Colts. 5, the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs, despite losing last week, is actually ahead of the Bills. And that's why I like power rankings. They shouldn't just be, your record. Number 3, the LA Rams. Number 2, Philadelphia Eagles. And number 1, the Seattle Seahawks, up at number 1. I was surprised, Shook. We were on the same page with the Seahawks. You had them very high. Was it number 1? I believe it was number 2 for you. Yeah. But it averaged out to being number 1. You had the Chiefs 1. And that was surprising. The Seahawks 2, Eagles 3. So what strikes you the most just looking at this list of the best 9 teams? And then I'll tell you what stands out to me.
So this season feels like we've gotten more parity in the league than we've gotten in probably the last 5 or 7 years. And I think that this group really illustrates that, because this was the most difficult part of this exercise for me. Because I'm at one Chiefs. Yeah, they lost to the Bills. They had a terrible game. That was the Bills' best showing in years, defensively at least. And I think that if you play that game 10 times, it might turn out differently, a few different times. So I'm not going to put too much stock into a regular season win over the Chiefs. I still feel confident as though if I had to take any team in a neutral site or in a playoff game, home or away, I would still take Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, the Kansas City Chiefs. But once we got past the Chiefs and the Seahawks, I'm like, oh my God, like, what do I think about the rest of these guys? Because the Eagles have, the personnel to get it done. They had the drama, but they're also, they're coming off of 2 quality wins. The Rams are like lurking as this team that people aren't paying attention to, but they're playing phenomenal football, especially offensively. Lions coming off of a loss to the Vikings, but they're still the Lions. We still respect them. Bills are lower for me than 5. I actually had them at 6 just because I still need it proven to me like you need the Ravens to prove it to you. Like I get down to like 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm like, oh God, I forgot about the Buccaneers. Wait, but they have all these injuries on offense. Can they still do it? The Packers, I don't believe in them fully right now because of some of the performances they've produced recently. And the Colts, Daniel Jones scared me back into being hesitant about them with accounting for 5 of their 6 turnovers. So it's really hard to sort these guys out right now, which is why the NFL is incredibly fun to watch.
Yeah. So first of all, it's 6 NFC teams, 3 AFC. So I think
not shocked.
Yeah, it just, I think there's more really good teams this year than most years. It is parity, but I don't think it's mediocrity because we looked at that group from 10 to 16, and those are good teams too. So the bad teams are really bad this year for sure, but I think there's a lot of good teams at the top. Like all these teams, for almost all of them, have had multi-year kind of buildups to this moment. That like Mike McDonald, it's only his 2nd year, but man, they're so different than they were. Sean McVay, and they've been in this rebuild-ish phase for the last couple of years. They called it a sprint rebuild. That's peaking right now. The Eagles are in the middle of their primes. The Chiefs are the Chiefs, obviously. And like even the Bucks, like they've been building to this moment. So it's not like, other than the Colts, there's not like a big surprise team, and there's not a team that like feels like it came out of nowhere. And yet the Colts, and I've talked about this week, when you look at it, like that team has about as much continuity and veterans and guys who have been on that roster for 4 or 5 years than anyone. So I just like that we're like really familiar with all these teams. And I think they all have a shot to win the Super Bowl. And the biggest disagreement we had here, well, there were a couple, but we were only 3 spots apart on any team, but I had the Colts still at 4. I maybe that's too high, but I believe in transcendent offenses, and
okay.
I just think they have a chance to be a transcendent offense. Is their offense does it have a chance to be the best thing in the NFL? I think it has a chance. So maybe I'm wrong. It seems crazy.
Yeah, I mean, because of the continuity, that's probably the strongest argument for them that they could have the best offense in the NFL. I mean, they've certainly put up a lot of points, but you also have to consider opponent when you examine some of their victories. I actually want to step into our therapist's office real quick. I am the therapist and I'm also the patient here because this is a great demonstration of the difference between you and me and my abandonment issues. The Colts burned me once and I'm like, nope, I'm off the ship. You can't hurt me twice, Colts. I'm not going to let you hurt me again. I'm running away from you. Whereas you are more of an open-hearted believer. Like they said on the Monday night recap, Gregg has kind eyes. You have a kind heart too. You're willing to let the Colts have a bad Sunday.
Maybe I just stick with my priors and I just spent the week, gassing them up before they stunk up the joint. And like a team like the Bills, I think they have fundamental things that I worry about. And yet, man, they're a good problem-solving team like the Chiefs. So if I had to do it again, maybe I would have flipped it, and the Bills would have been a little bit higher. Because like the Chiefs, they deserve the benefit of the doubt if they're going to like create solutions to the problems that the season gives them, and you can kind of see it the last couple of weeks. Do we know that the Colts are going to do that? We don't know because we haven't seen it, and we are putting a lot of faith there in the Seahawks. I had them 1, you had them 2, but man, it's a beautiful thing. And you know what? We got a game this weekend with 2 of these top teams playing. That's all I want out of each week. At least 1 or 2 games where 2 of these 9 teams are playing each other. And yeah, we got a nice Packers-Eagles game, and the Patriots not too far out of this tier. playing the Bucks is a really good one. 9 versus 10. If you look at the windows, I know we had a bad primetime game, Shook, but this is sneakily one of the best weeks of the year because we have Pats Bucks in that early window, along with Ravens Vikings, which I think is really fun. That's a great game. And the primetime windows are absolutely great. In the 425 window, we have Rams 49ers, which I think is good enough to hold that window. It's like every window has a nice, delicious game.
You know, it's like a relief, and it's also excites me when I see a good Monday nighter. And Eagles Packers is going to be a good Monday nighter.
We need it. We'll be live, and we appreciate everyone who's been listening to all our recaps this season. And that's it for this one. We will be next in the feed. Cynthia Freeland and I, we pushed back the pick show a little bit this week because everything's been a little up in the air. So we have our picks against the spread. That'll be on Friday afternoon. We will see you then, and we can only hope to do better at our jobs than the Raiders and the Broncos offenses did tonight. See you Friday.